Welcome into another Red Out podcast, the longest running WKU podcast, or at least following WKU athletics. We're going to talk some Western sports and maybe some change coming to the hill for basketball. Stick with us.
Hey, how about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Jersey all day, baby.
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
I'm not ashamed to admit in the past, I've needed a therapist. We all need someone, and it's a strong person who can admit it. I talked to my doctor, who referred me to a therapist, and I really didn't have much say as to who the therapist was. But with this episode's sponsor, Betterhelp, you do. You can filter out who you would like to talk to, age, gender, religion, and more to pair you with the person who works best for you. And if the person isn't exactly who you were wanting, you're not stuck. You can switch counselors. BetterHelp strives to offer affordable, professional, and accessible online therapy. So go to betterhelp.com/redout today to save 10%. By doing this, you not only support us, you can work toward a brighter, healthier you. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Yes, thank you, BetterHelp. We appreciate your support. And if you would like to help the Red Out podcast, you can like, share, and subscribe. That always helps us out. You can also, if you would like to sign up for BetterHelp, use our affiliate link, betterhelp.com/redout. It'll save you 10%, and it also helps us. There's thousands of counselors out there that'll help you out and be able to provide you some assistance if you need it. I can understand with the way this season's going for men's basketball. I definitely would want to get some help. But... Oh, that's a mute button. Okay, so I was just trying to work on something. So how's it going, guys?
Good. My dog's going ballistic over something this exact second.
No, you're good.
I'm doing fine, man.
Good. No, the I had a listener send us a comment last week, and I'm trying to fix it real quick. Seeing if I can. If I disconnect you, Matt, just reconnect. Let's see.
Okay, yes, sir.
No? Okay, I don't know. He's asking if we can raise the volume, but I don't see any way I can do that with this program, so I may have to do it in post. I'll have to see. Okay, so winners and losers. I've got one I saw this morning on the news, and it kind of reminds me of something that would happen at Western. They have this frisbee fetching dog at U of L. Have you seen this? The dog took a shit on the court. I kid you not. Like, the guy starts to do a trick, and the dog runs out maybe 10, 15 foot, turns, squats, and takes a big shit right on the court.
Coincidentally, the guy who owns the dog is Chris Mack's cousin.
Is it really?
No. No.
Oh my god! I was like, dude, that would be so funny.
They did not vet his history.
No, that guy. Oh my gosh! Like, no, it just, ironically, that dog kind of reminds me of how our season's been going. But anyway, just a big pile of shit on the court. Anyway. So Jared is still trying to get his dog under control. I can't imagine what dog fight's going on there. So, Matt, you got anything?
Sure, man. So my winner is Safeguards Wi-Fi. I'm excited. We're gonna get this thing called fiber.
Don't be. No offense.
Don't get fiber.
No. We've got fiber at our office, but I think our internet company is garbage. So
okay,
I'm not going to mention who they are, but like our internet gets knocked out at least a couple times a week for just random stuff.
Wonderful. Well, anyway, we're working on getting fiber. So I don't know if y'all have noticed a few of these shows. Like I'll answer something that's like way behind and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's because every once in a while I'll hear y'all in like fast forward mode because my Wi-Fi like craps on itself and then comes back in, and you'll talk like 1,000 miles an hour, and I'll hear it like 10 seconds after you said it. So anyway, hopefully it's going to get better here in the next few weeks.
Hey, that's great.
So I'm pumped. And then my loser is boomers on Facebook that are about to get fired up because their hero's about to get ran out of town. But anyway, whatever.
Jake Homer's not there anymore.
Jake Homer is. I think he done good, and I think he could be the next coach of Western Kentucky basketball once Rick Stansbury finishes his 97th season.
97 season. He's going to be like Bob Barker, and they're
Only
just going to have
90
him
more
like a
years
marionette.
of Rick Stansbury and then Jake Homer.
They're going to have Rick Stansbury out there like a marionette, and he's like got strings going up in the ceiling, and somebody's working it.
Friday night between winning and losing.
I'm back.
Jared, winners and losers, buddy.
Winners is the Pacers because they actually won a game yesterday.
Woo!
Also,
1-30.
well, I mean, thankfully they're a little better than that. But
They're probably better than Western this year. So,
it's about the same. Maybe a little worse, actually. We've had a lot of injuries, so I mean that was good.
Injuries are good, or the win was good. Okay.
The win was good, but I mean the injuries suck. I mean Indiana's cursed. I think every professional sports team I care about is cursed, but I mean it is what it is at this point.
Yeah,
yep.
you do have some stinkers.
So,
only when I
I've
become
got a lot of we've got a bunch of topics to get into tonight. So let's and I imagine we're going to get marred up in a couple of these. So spring football. What are we click? What are we expecting for Western? What do we want to see in Western sports this spring, as far as football is concerned? Jared, I'll go with you first.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, we still keep some core pieces, obviously quarterback for once with football, spring football, seeing all of that. I think that's going to be good to have some consistency at that position because we haven't really had a whole lot of it. I mean, we flourished with the next man up mentality, and I don't see this year being any different than that. Of course, Helton's done a good job with the transfer portal. I hope that continues. We'll see how some of these new guys that have come in will look. I mean, obviously, you can't tell a whole lot with the spring game. I mean, it is what it is at this point. But I mean, it lets you see a few of the new pieces who may start, may not. So I mean, it's still always fun. It's still exciting, knowing that we'll get a little glimpse of football to tie us over until August. But I mean, I'm still really excited to see how we'll look in football, especially keeping Reed. I think that's going to be pretty killer to help us a lot. Because, I mean, he still looked really consistent overall last year, but if he can get a little better after last season, maybe do a little bit better than what he did last year, then, I mean, he'll be incredible. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think there were a few times in this last season where he got shook in the pocket.
Yeah.
And I would like to see... that kind of go away. Now, typically, coaches don't they don't do anything physical with quarterbacks because quarterbacks are pansies. But, they typically will, they don't put a lot of pressure on them. But I would like to see them do drills in the spring to kind of put pressure on him and let him work through his progression and become a more mature quarterback. That's what I would like to see.
Hey,
I think he's a good quarterback. What?
Did y'all ever play Smear the LGBT? Because
when I was in middle school, I did, yeah.
I could really set him up.
It wasn't as PC as what you just said, but yes, we did.
Yeah. I'm trying to be very accepting in my language.
Yes, you're being very PC. Good job. But no, yes, when I was in middle school, we did. But like, what I'm saying is, like, I wish that they would have some drills, where not necessarily live, but at least touch. You know what I'm saying? So they can rush him full speed and then just touch and back off and let him make a throw. Or something a little more pressure oriented where, he can work through that because that's what we need.
Yeah, my biggest concern for next year is offensive line because, we lost some pieces. I really hope that we can get some people to come in and step up and look pretty effective early in the season, or else that will be very painful.
Yes. It's gonna. If we thought this past year was rough on Reed as far as like his issues with getting pressure and stuff like that, him having like lower experience offensive lineman is going to be a lot more critical. Matt, what would you like to see in the spring game?
Oh yeah, the O line was a really good point because I think Reed actually did a pretty good job evading a lot of pressure last year, and I think he was a big reason why we only gave up 14 sacks. I think a more average, less mobile QB might have taken in more like 20, maybe
Yeah,
22 sacks, something like that. There were several that he just avoided with some athleticism. So
yeah,
definitely O line for sure. I hadn't thought about that, but great point. As far as QB, definitely you do want to see him starting to mature a little bit. He kind of made, everybody talked about him being a gunslinger, like a Brett Favre type, and that's kind of what he showed us, like not Brett Favre level passing
yeah.
game. I mean,
I do
but
like that
like,
analogy though.
yeah, I mean, he's definitely like, he'll throw it places that you don't really think he should, but he'll also make incredible plays.
Well,
Um,
he's pretty hard nosed like Brett Favre too.
yeah, that too.
Um,
And so I like the comparison, and obviously he's a very good quarterback. So hopefully he just makes those progressions that you start seeing along with the creativity and the arm strength and stuff, but you also see good decision making and not boneheaded stuff where you're throwing into like quadruple coverage and hoping it works out and stuff. Like a little
yeah,
bit more educated decisions, stuff like that. Um, I also wrote down help donut because I was looking at the stats. The poor guy, Donut Evans or whatever, Jaquez Evans.
yeah,
Dude had 106 tackles, 9 sacks, 14 TFLs, whatever. He basically carried the team, fumble recoveries, hit the quarterback, whatever. He even had a few PBUs. So he basically did everything, blocked a kick. He literally did everything. And he is coming back, but he needs some help. There wasn't really anybody else that was able to get in the backfield. There were some guys that did it a few times, but we're also losing some of those guys that did do that. So I'm concerned about some like D line, linebacker depth. We're
And we
also
lost our
losing.
D line coach to the Dolphins too, which is
Right.
interesting.
So how big of a factor?
brag a
did he
little,
play?
Jared.
I mean,
think,
I'm fine with it, but I mean, it is what it is.
I think as far as spring ball, you just look at it and it's like, okay, let's fill in the holes and be sure that we have hope at every position. Don't look like a complete dumpster fire, but also if you do, it's not the end of the world either. It's going to be okay. Spring ball is not an indication of how good you're going to be, but hopefully we start seeing some pieces come together. Hopefully they build some chemistry, like they seem to like each other, stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for versus like, oh, we need to throw 500 yards and the defense needs to have 8 sacks and we need to kick a 70-yard field goal, like whatever. Just show me that you're capable and that we're moving in the right direction. I'm good for spring ball.
I'm of the mindset. I've got a few things I would like to see. I'd like to see him spread it around. Not necessarily have a favorite receiver, because Malachi Corley was, if I'm not wrong, he is like go-to dude. I know he was his roommate, but like he was his go-to, and I like that relationship with those two, and that's fine. But at the same point, like a good D1 school or great coaching staff is going to be like, okay, he throws 9 out of 10 passes to Corley. I know it's exaggerated, but if he's going to be throwing a lot to him, let's make sure we've got somebody on him that can handle him. Mm-hmm. This guy's going to, we're going to have him at least double coverage, one over the top, one underneath, something like that. And if you've got double coverage over here, then you've got somebody open on the other side or whatever. I would like to just make sure we at least see it kind of spread around a little bit. And the other point I'd like to make is, I know you're talking about like 70-yard field goals and all that. I just don't want to see a 4th and whatever on our 20 and us go for it. I'm just saying. I don't want stupid coaching mistakes. And we haven't seen that with Helton. I can't fault him with that. There may be 1 or 2 things that it was a coin flip, and it's kind of more personal opinion than actual.
There were
like
a few last year, I think.
Yeah,
it might have been a little last year.
But they weren't like major things that you were like, oh my God, that screwed us out of the game.
He's definitely not a perfect Mayweather dude kind of.
Yeah,
Awful.
yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. It's
Dude,
just-
let's
Go
just
for it on our own 20-yard line, fourth down,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, bro.
Let's run 2-yard outs on 4th and 4 from the 8.
I'm picturing him on the sideline, stoned out of his damn mind, and he's like, they're like, "Hey, coach, are we gonna go for it?" And he's just staring off into space, like watching a butterfly or some bullshit. And he's like, "Bruh, this is just."
Check out the
I mean, that
wings on
happens,
that
though.
fly.
No, I mean, not necessarily like the getting high part, but coaches getting distracted, just like Dan Campbell talking about he was so mesmerized by all the fans doing the wave in the stadium that his offensive coordinator asked to put an offensive lineman touchdown
Yes.
play. And he's
I
like,
did
yeah,
hear that.
sure. And he didn't realize that that's what he agreed to until he saw it.
I did see that. Was that no? I was gonna say Tom Coughlin. Who was the Steelers coach? What was his name?
Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin. Okay, Mike Tomlin. Did you see that where he was standing like literally on the field almost, watching himself on the jumbotron, watching the play going on, and did not realize he was in the play until he looked up and he's like, "Holy crap, that's me!" And then he jumped out of the way at the last second. Everybody. I remember that play. And everybody was like, "Oh, that's such a bad move on his part. He's trying to obstruct the runner and everything else." And he was like, "I really wasn't." He's like, "I just was not paying attention at all." And he just, I thought that story was
Do you think
hilarious.
a 60-year-old man wants to take an NFL hit anytime soon? Come
Well, he
on.
just wasn't paying attention. Well, is he 60?
He's not that old.
Maybe 50s.
Mike Tomlin. Okay.
Yeah,
You said
yeah,
Tom
yeah.
Coughlin. I was thinking.
No, I said Tom Coughlin, but I could not remember it.
Well, whatever. I mean, but no way he wants to take that kind of hit.
Nobody wants to take that hit.
Especially without pads.
Yeah,
God no.
it's ridiculous.
I mean, he's gonna have two NFL caliber players who probably weigh about 200 pounds ish. So that's 400 pounds, and they're running at full sprint. And you think you really want to take that in the back, not looking? Heck, no, you don't. Oh my gosh, like he'd be so hurting the next day. But anyway, I am excited to see how football turns out. I think practice is going to start. Is it in April? Is that right? I haven't seen
looked at
anything
when they're starting.
official.
Honestly,
I was going to say I haven't seen anything
I
official
mean,
yet.
the spring game is always like April 25th-ish, somewhere around that ballpark, like towards the end of April.
Well, WKU Sports doesn't have anything on their calendar past March 6th. Oh, there it is. It loaded up. Yeah, they don't have anything on their football as far as football goes all the way through April 1st. So let me see.
yeah, I don't see anything either. We'd have to dig to figure that out.
Yeah, we'll have
We'll
to
see it
look.
at some
It's usually
point.
like, isn't it like 3 weeks before the game? So it might be
Yeah,
like
it's
early
probably all
April.
in April. Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume in April we can try and if we're still talking about it or whatever, we'll go over it then. So softball doing pretty good this year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got my notes pulled up right here. I can at least look at it. But Lady Top's doing some work Lady Topper softball doing some work this past weekend. Playing Michigan, Central Michigan, 24th, 25th, and beating them. On the 24th, they won 2-1, and on the 25th, they won 6-4. And then they beat Illinois State 6-1. They have lost a game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they lost to Jacksonville State on
There you go.
25th as well.
Oh, okay.
3-4.
Okay, so they played. Okay,
But I mean, winning 4 out of 5 in the
that's
the
not bad.
Hilltopper Classic. I mean, like in softball, baseball, whatever, you throw away one game, it's okay. The main thing is, they're playing more kind of group of 5 mid-major type competition, and they're winning most of those games. I think they have one loss against all those kind of mid-major teams, so that's just a good sign. We still don't know, like there's no like marquee win yet with them that you're like, oh my gosh, that's incredible, but they're also, I think, looking solid. 9-6 after a tough schedule. We'll take it. Check that off the list.
Yeah, they did beat Illinois State on the 24th as well, 6-0. I looked at the calendar. Okay, I hate that calendar on WKU Sports' page. I cannot stand that calendar.
So you look at the full calendar on the front page? Is that what you did?
I did. Well, I clicked the composite calendar underneath softball.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's got like it's got like 85 sports scores at the same place, and you're
Yeah,
just like,
I
oh
don't
my
like that one
god.
either. I just
But
go
yes, I
individual
do.
sports.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put these in the show notes real quick. But yeah, hey, I'm pretty happy with them so far this year. I mean, that's not too bad. They are okay. I honestly just cannot stand this cotton picking WKU sports page. I
I mean, I
really
think
can't. It's really
to give
slow.
it a
We're
little
nine and
depth.
six
Devin.
overall. 9-6
Okay, go ahead.
overall. 9-6 overall. Lost to Minnesota, and Michigan twice, and Minnesota again in the Florida Classic thing. But I mean, that's not too bad. 9-6 overall. I'll take it for softball. I mean, and the teams they've lost to are Power 5 teams. At least some of them were.
Yeah, the only non-Power 5 was that Jacksonville State one on, what was it, Sunday, Saturday, whatever. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's 1 out of like 10 mid-major games you lost. I think that's acceptable.
Jacksonville State,
Other games.
Ray Harper University.
Jacksonville State, South Carolina was the other one.
Near you.
South Carolina was another one. Minnesota, and then Michigan were the other two. So they lost twice, Minnesota and Michigan. But that's honestly that's not. So Matt, do you have any thoughts?
I was just kind of looking at stats real quick. I mean, it looks like they've actually been doing well, like actually within the games, like playing well, like average and whatever, stolen bases, whatever. There's a lot of good things that you see from the production standpoint. So I think, it's not a fluke that they have a winning record. I think they're going to be decent, and it's just going to come down to kind of developing over the year. But I think they're definitely worthy of people showing up and supporting them.
Yes.
And I think they should be pretty good. Obviously, North Texas softball's amazing. They're like ranked. But other
Really?
than that, yeah, they're very good. But other than that, I think Western's on even footing with just about everybody else in conference. So let's see how they do the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the weather's starting to get nice. So go out, support Lady Tops, softball, support baseball. I'm not a big baseball person, so that's why we don't have a lot of baseball coverage.
Yeah, I mean, softball's
Jared's not
short.
either.
Go to a softball game. It's really
Yeah,
short.
softball's shorter. It's got better parking. It's right there. I mean, I'm going to say this. I swear to God, Matt. If you got a little girl who likes softball, take her to the game. If you have a little boy, let Matt take him to the game.
Oh my God!
You're never gonna let him.
I've got an Olympic sports pass just for you and your young child.
Trench coat included.
Oh my God.
If
But no,
it gets cold, you can climb in my trench coat, boy.
yeah.
Peekaboo, there's a child under here.
But yeah, seriously, there's no excuse not to support Lady Top softball. They'll appreciate it. They'll be glad to have the crowd there, and I'm sure it makes the games go so much quicker when you've got somebody cheering you on and making it. It adds that little adrenaline to it. It's not just dead in the stands. Now, fish out of water here, but baseball.
Give us your analysis first.
I'm gonna let Jared do that. Come on. No, but baseball's doing. I mean, baseball. They lost to Ohio and Bellarmine, so we've lost 2. Am I wrong? Is there more than that?
No, they're 7-2.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, really. I mean, they beat Ohio on the 24th, 14-1. Do they have a 10-run rule in baseball? I'm just in college baseball. I'm just asking. But then they played Ohio. I mean, obviously they had the series through Sunday the 26th. Had a doubleheader on Saturday against Ohio and beat them both times. And then they lost on Sunday to Ohio. So let me make sure I got that one in my show notes. Matt, did you go to the game?
No, I didn't. I'm actually going, so I can't comment, but I'm actually
Oh,
going to go. I'm actually going to the game. Go to the game against Northern Illinois Friday, so I'll be able to
Oh,
comment
okay.
then.
Oh, okay. Good. I'll
But
make a note.
just comparing. Actually, John Pulowski started 7-2 as well in his career, but it quickly went downhill from there. So again, I guess there's no true indication of how Rarden's doing, but I saw something. There was a tweet. It's the guy that's the Lady Toppers announcer. I don't know if y'all saw this. I think I put it in the Towel Rack chat, but basically he was comparing. Did you see that, Jared? The
Yeah.
Pulowski's tendencies versus Rarden. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I saw that
It's pretty
earlier.
shocking.
Let's do it.
Let's see. So with nearly the same roster, this is Brad Klein, by the way. He's doing a really good job with the Lady Toppers announcing as well as baseball. Anyway, WKU baseball's at Coach Rarden turnaround. In 2022, we were 18-36. This year, we're 7-2, best start since 1985. We had 3 sack bunts in the whole year last year, and we already have 12 this year. So they did not complete more than 3 successful sack bunts last year. That's insane.
What kind of illegal substance is that? I've never heard of that before.
It's the thing they put underneath their sack. It's a bunt. They put under.
So jockey strap, got it. Okay.
Yes.
That's it. Yep. In the
Actually,
compression shorts there.
I did see something to slight aside here.
Yeah.
There was a college pitcher for Tulane. Have you seen this? Who in his pitch he has just like a muscle memory thing where he just touches his glove in a certain way. And I think it was Mississippi or somebody who they were playing, and the coaches actually had the refs go inspect his glove because they thought he was putting a substance on the ball because the breaking ball was so crazy. And that breaking ball was wild to watch. But he would it was like the ball just dropped like at least 2 foot. And it was pretty wild. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right, man. But anyway, it was just really interesting comparing like 9th most doubles in Conference USA versus the 9th most doubles in all of America. And it's early. It's only 9 games in. But just indications are that he knows what he's doing. We've also won a bunch of close games. So let's see, 5-3, 9-7, 9-6, 9-8. And then the last couple we lost were close as well, but we had kind of had a chance to win in each of those. So I think things are looking up. I think he knows what he needs to do to make this team competitive, which I think it makes sense to play small ball with a team that hit 250 last year as a team, which is awful, by the way. So kind of make them kind of plod around the bases and force them to be threatening versus just hoping that they hit home runs when they don't. That's not what they do. So I think he knows what he's doing. I think it's exciting. And I think Northern Illinois is another chance to show that we're doing something different this year. So go Tops, man. Go check out the baseball team for real.
Yeah, definitely.
They deserve it.
Hey, just like I'm saying, with kids, you definitely want your kids to go out and enjoy these things and develop, help develop
a
fan base.
Get outside, do something.
Yeah.
Kids.
Matt, you sound like a boomer.
Go get a rock and try hitting it with a stick. That's how baseball started anyways.
Stansbury's best thing to ever happen to WKU basketball.
Rick Stansbury is just as good as sliced bread. I swear to God. Anyway,
We'll get to that later.
Lady Tops.
Yeah, buddy.
So, Matt, do you want to give us an update on Lady Tops?
Yes, sir. So, Lady Tops our main thing is they're battling for second place this week. They did split this last week, so they've hit a couple road bump or speed bumps or whatever. They lost to La Tech 65-70 on the 23rd in Ruston. It's not a disaster, but I mean, you'd like to see them playing a little better. They didn't play that great. They did come back and played UAB on the road and totally blew them out of the water like they should. UAB's the worst team in Conference USA. and they won on the road by 22 and had that game in control the whole time. So it was nice to see. It was a big game because they had started kind of coming together in the standings with like UTEP and Rice, and so they maintained their lead. And now they've set up basically, if they beat UTEP, they're in really, really good shape for the Conference USA tournament. They'll be at least the 3 seed. They're going to avoid middle. If they lose against UTEP, they're most likely going to struggle to find a way to get the 3 seed, and hopefully they don't fall to the 4 seed because that means they've got to play middle, most likely in the semifinals, which is not what you want to do.
Hopefully they
avoid middle
lose
at all
before
costs.
then.
Say what?
I said hopefully they lose before then.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
middle
That's the
losers.
idea. Like, avoid a ranked team if you can, please.
Yes.
And let's stay on the other side of the bracket. I don't care if it's the 2 or the 3 seed. I think it matters not.
No.
Hopefully, ideally, Rice stays in the 4 seed. Western beats UTEP. Rice loses a game. UTEP wins the other game, so Western gets UTEP on their side of the bracket, keeps Rice and middle away from them, and I think it takes away the main threats away from Western to get to the finals, no matter who else they play. But if they somehow screw it up and drop to the 4, I think we put ourselves in trouble, and we're probably not going to make it past the semis. So Greg Collins has struggled in the tournament to make any kind of run. I think the farthest we've made it might be the semis, and I don't know if we've made it more than once in his career. I'd have to look back and see how he's done. But he definitely hasn't made a final, and it would be a huge step to make the final and then take your chances against middle or whoever else is on the other side of the bracket. It'd be a huge step in the right direction.
Let me ask you something real quick.
Yeah.
How hard would it be for us to get Travis Hudson to coach basketball? I'm just saying. No, seriously though. Honestly, like when this season started, did you think this team was going to be second place?
No way. No. I knew they had talent.
Yeah.
But honestly, Collins was in some trouble at the start of this season too. When you talk about Stansbury versus him, his seat was definitely warm, and they were awful to start the year.
6 games in, he had won 1 game.
Yeah,
against Miami, Ohio. Yeah,
right. And then losing to like Cal Baptist and stuff, people were starting to get pretty pissed at him too. And then you get in a conference and you beat Rice and you have some nice wins and you get out to where you're basically in second place all year. And now he really needs to screw up to get to the 4th seed versus just win one of these 2, and you'll probably be either the 2 or the. And I'm thrilled with it, but I hope, obviously I hope he gets the 2 seed and goes into this tournament with some momentum.
So ideally, 2 seed.
Yeah, I mean, win these
we'll be on
we're definitely the 2 seed.
I was going to say, we're hoping for a 2 seed, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
you
then
should win these last 2. You're at home.
Okay.
UTEP, you've already beaten them on the road. And you honestly probably could have beaten them by way more than you did. North Texas, we actually lost to them. So I think it's super key to beat UTEP and get this out of the way so we don't have to worry about dealing with the 4 seed pressure stuff. So
I agree. I mean, especially if you win the 2 seed and you stay, knock on wood, hoping the Lady Tops finish up this season strong. If UTEP is what? They're tied with us for second, right?
Yes. They're tied, and Rice is a game behind.
Okay.
With the tiebreaker.
Okay, now where is North Texas in relation to us? Let's see. Oh, okay.
North
They're 4
Texas
games back.
Yeah.
But if we've got to beat North Texas either. But UTEP, if we fall to them, we're going to drop to what, a 3 seed or a 4 seed?
It depends on how Rice does. If Rice wins, which they play the Florida school, so they're pretty likely to find at least 1 win. Probably they're going to win 2 games.
Okay.
So and they have a tiebreaker. So
they may trump us.
Yes, most likely if we're tied with Rice, we're not beating them. So
that's depressing. But hopefully everything will pull through and we won't.
Just beat UTEP. Beat UTEP.
Yeah,
we're fine. That's the key. Everything else, whatever. Avoid middle.
Yes. Jared, what are your thoughts on Lady Tops though so far this year?
I mean, just kind of like what y'all have said, though. I mean, just the fact that they were able to turn it around and still end up in the position that they're at for Conference USA is pretty good. I mean, we'll see how Collins does in this tournament. I mean, hopefully we'll at least get to the. I'd love to at least get to the semifinals. I think that would be.
Yes. It would
That's
be
my
pretty
goal
cool.
is the semis. Get to the semis. Get the 3 seed at least. I'm good with the rest of it.
So, let's slide over to some not so exciting news. Men's basketball.
Okay.
To start the season, we were all just like, "Woo! It's basketball season, woo!" And now it's like your 9 to 5 that you don't want to do. You know what I'm saying?
What sucks is they got us all excited.
That's my thing.
Total letdown.
That's my thing. This entire season, if we went into this season and we were like, we're going to be in 8th place, there's nothing to be excited about, I don't think people would be as upset. It's a rebuilding year. If you use those keywords, I think people wouldn't have been as upset as they are now. Because going into this season, everybody was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. We're going to win it all. We're going to be, first place, Conference USA, all this talent. And now it's 8th place.
That's insane. That's the worst that we've done in Conference USA, I think. At least, definitely since Stansbury's been here. But, man.
We were an 8 in his first year.
Yeah.
But there were also 14 teams. So we're in a field of 11, and we're 8th, maybe 9th.
Yeah. Well, we're 9 games out behind Florida Atlantic. We play UTEP on the 20th. Sorry, I'm looking at my wrong notes. We play UTEP on the 2nd, 9 p.m. Eastern time, so 8 p.m. Central time because it's out there in UTEP in El Paso. UTEP's actually a game behind us, so this could be a decent game, as bad as that sounds.
That's terrible.
I know, right? Like UTEP is 13 of 16. We're 15 and 14.
Yeah. I mean, it's a game at altitude, so God knows, what's going to happen.
I don't think that matters.
Huh?
I don't think that's going to matter.
You don't think so? Really?
No, I think we suck, so it's going to be bad either way. Now, granted, these guys could beat my ass at horse. I'm not saying that. But, this year it's just, I don't know.
Actually, I think you could probably hang in there with horse. That's the problem. They can't hit horse crap
lay up
from the field.
So we've got UTEP and North Texas. We actually we ended up we beat La Tech 76-66 and we lost to UAB 72-60. Jared, what are your thoughts on these next 2 games? Do we win? Do we lose? Do we split?
I mean, God. I mean, it's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, part of me wants us to just lose out. That way, Todd Stewart has no other choice but to pull the plug on Stans at this point. But, I mean, obviously, it would be nice to win another game because, I mean, I don't think we'll do much in the tournament. So, I mean, it'll be one of the last wins we get, probably. So, I mean, I feel like we'll split. Just realistically, I feel like that makes the most sense because I still don't. This team still hasn't figured out how to play a complete ball game, except maybe once or twice the whole season. So, and this weekend was a testament to that as well. So,
see, I'm thinking that we're going to beat UTEP and lose to North Texas.
I mean, I would definitely agree with that.
Matt, what are you thinking thus far? I know you've got an article that you wrote, kind of talking about some things. I'm not going to spoil it for our listeners, but what do you think as far as these last 2 games? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I honestly I hated to write that article that I felt like I had to though, because it feels like people just falling asleep and just don't seem to see where this stands in the moments of WKU basketball history.
Huh? I'm
Because
sorry. Okay. I fell asleep. Sorry.
oh yeah, I know it's written. But seriously though, like I just don't think people have lost lost sight of what's really going on here. We're
Yeah.
a decade. If we lose this year, we'll be more than a decade dry of NCAA tournament appearances, and Rick Stansbury will be responsible for 7 of those 10 years. So to sit here and say that he's like anything better than a failure so far is, I think, insulting to WKU basketball, because there's no way that you can tell me that he's done a good job yet also not made it once.
Mhm.
Every
Well-
other coach ever has made it.
But he had bad luck, Matt. That's obviously a pass to lose the NCAA, to not make the NCAAs, obviously.
Oh yeah.
My view, my stance with Stansbury, I equate him to a Tubby Smith at Kentucky. We're mediocre. We've never been at phenomenal when Stans has been here. We've made deep runs into Conference USA tournament, but we've never hit that next gear and been able to make it to the big dance. I mean, like Matt said, it's been a decade. This year will be 10 years since we've been to, NCAA, the March Madness.
And this year was the year to do it. Like, you had everything come together. You had the dream team. You had the predictions and all this crap. You didn't have the schedule to back yourself up in case if you had a bad non-conference or something. But anyway, other than that, like, you literally had everything set in place to have a great year. And not only has it been a little frustrating, it's been a nightmare where you are flirting with one of the worst seeds that we've ever had in a Conference USA tournament, but also one of the worst seasons overall. And the guy's in his 7th year. If he's in his 7th year and this is quote unquote, I mean, I guess you got to look at it as a rebuilding year or whatever, but you have all these guys that maybe would return again if he was kept on. I don't even know if you would keep any of them, because maybe they finally see the light at the end of the tunnel here, so to speak. They kind of see the writing on the wall, not the light at the end of the tunnel. They're about to get ran over by the train. But I mean, like, it's just time to move on. I mean, unless they find some kind of miracle in the tournament, yeehaw, go Tops, who made the tournament, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
But it's just not happening. Like,
They don't have Michael
Jared
Secret.
said, like you said, we're probably going to split this weekend. Whatever. It's on the road. Yay, road win. Yeehaw, go Tops. But then go to the tournament, and we're likely going to lay an egg. Even if we didn't and we won a game or 2 or 3, we're not winning 4 games in 4 days. We're going to lose at some point in the Conference USA tournament, and it'll be time for him to get out of town.
See, there's one thing you said that I don't agree with. There's no way anyone could call this a rebuilding year, because we returned McKnight, we returned Sharp, we returned Hamilton, we returned Frampton, and we added all these athletic guys like Icott. We added
Allen,
Allen.
Yeah,
we're like you said in your article too. Like, we're like the biggest team, like physically, like height wise, and also like at the beginning of the season, like we were one of the best 3-point shooting teams too in the country. But yet we still don't know how to win a ball game, and you can't blame the players, I think, fully for that, because we have the athleticism and everything on this team. It's just like there's a major disconnect somewhere that's keeping this team from doing what they should have been able to do, that I feel like any other coach could have made them do.
And what frustrates me on top of all this stuff is, if you went back through the games and you just watched comments of what people were thinking. Why did we do this? Why did this happen? Why didn't we run this defense? Why can't we figure out how to beat this press? Why did we start down 17-0? Why didn't he call a timeout? Why did he call a timeout up 2 possessions? Whatever. Like, so many times it's, why is Stansbury doing X? Why can't we move the ball? Why can't we guard the 3? Yeah. Why are we shooting too many threes? Whatever it is, it's always something like, and there's not been enough moments where we're blown away by something Stansbury does. Mm-hmm. It's the players came back from 20 down. The players figured out how to step up and make some shots. Instead of him doing something brilliant that's like, oh my God, he made that one move. I think there have been some, but like not very many at all where you're just like, wow. I mean, Stansbury won that game. We had no business winning that game, but we found a way. There aren't very many of those.
So, I mean, honestly, like my opinion on this season, sounding ridiculous, which most of mine points to, but it feels like to me like this is Space Jam in the 1990s where the Monstars have just stole their mojo. I mean, honestly, like the level that these guys were hyped at and the level that they are producing is completely on different levels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say level like 3 more times, but like seriously though, like these guys were supposed to be championship caliber, and what we're seeing actually is, 8th place, bottom of the barrel Conference USA, and it's just, I don't know, it's really disheartening to see this level of play, and I don't know, I mean, this season makes me feel like Stans isn't necessarily the best coach in a coaching situation, but necessarily more of a recruiter. Like, he brought these guys in, but he expects them to figure out the problems.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing this. You need to figure that out. Hey, they're doing this. Well, we're gonna do a zone. You need to, you got to figure out how to block the 3 here. You've got to do this.
Okay.
And I just don't know if they're able to do it. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, well, I was just that kind of struck something in me there. You said something about we're just going to play the defense or whatever. Or let's try this. Well, all that Andy Kennedy did to beat Western last game was he realized that we have trouble handling certain things, and he threw in a 1-3-1 zone basically the rest of the game. There was some other stuff he did, but that was the main thing that he did, and we didn't figure it out until 4 minutes left in the game when we were already down double digits. We were up 7 points. All the guy did was throw in a 1-3-1 zone, and we could not figure out how to get past the top guy in the press for over half of the game. It's simple. A 1-3-1 is not that hard to beat. It's scary, and sometimes you're going to turn it over, and you're going to have traps and stuff where you make some dumb mistakes. And that's the point of the 1-3-1. But it's also fundamentally flawed, and you should be able to beat it once you get past the 3 in the 1-3-1. Like, once you get past that, it should be over. And
yeah, because there's only one left.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I broke down something at it was like 4 minutes left in the game on Redout during actually running back replay after the game against UAB. If you want to go check it out, about midnight that night, and I broke it down frame by frame and showed what they finally did right, and it was like when you look at it in slow motion, it's like, my God, 4 people are open to the guy with the ball. Throw it to one of them. And he throws it to Acott, who is the guy it's Davion to Acott, back to Davion, whatever. Well, Jarius was open. All he had to do was cut in, and he could have had a little floater in the lane. He could have thrown it to Dante Allen, whatever. Dante Allen's open. Jamarion's probably open for an alley-oop at one point. None of that really happened, but on that one play, Davion finally faked a pass. Shocker that worked. And then he drives straight past the guy and then dishes it out. And I think Jarius bricked a 3. But anyway, it was a good shot. He actually broke the 1-3-1, got a good look, and we just missed the shot. But there were 4 opportunities in there that if you just make a right decision or you know how to break it, it could have resolved the issue, and he would have had to go away from that press. But instead, we lost, and it wasn't even close, and we could have given ourselves a chance. They probably would have beaten us anyway. We could have given ourselves a chance if we could figure out how to beat a simple and not very good 1-3-1. They weren't very good at it, but they did it because they just
worked.
It worked because we didn't know how to break it.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing, pointing to my coaching issue, is, I know Stans did all this stuff at Mississippi State and all that, and that's fine. And I'm not arguing that at one point he was a great coach, but Like, I feel like these guys should be able to do some of the basic things like you're saying. You would think that at this level they would know what to do against the 1-3-1. Or even, like, here's another thing. If you're a really good coach, you are going to be able to take film from another team. I'll just say UTEP because that's who's coming up. And you go, you know what? UTSA played them and they did this and it really worked. And then you put it in. Or, Charlotte did this against UTEP. Let's try this against them. And you're like, okay, well, Allen's not too good at this. Let's do this. Yada, yada, yada.
I mean,
there are adjustments that I feel like should be made from game to game that aren't helping us. But
if you want to beat WKU, all you need is just 2 competent 3-point shooters that take 10 threes a game, and that's basically an easy dub.
Exactly. Like, how are we not stopping the 3 at this point in the season? I mean, Sharp is 40 foot tall. Jesus, why can't we stop that?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, that's another freaking point that there's so many. I could go on forever about the strategy stuff of what he's doing. Like, why still we're giving up like bottom. I think we're like sub 250 in the country in 3-point shooting percentage, and actually the amount of threes that people take against us is pretty high too. So we're super not good at it and give up a ton of them.
Yeah.
And we're still going under the screen every time. You don't go over a screen ever. So what do? They shoot the 3 every time, and there's no variance ever in 7 years guarding the 3 ever. They're always going under the screen, never going over. So they always know what is coming. So even if they're not wanting to shoot the 3, they know, they have a routine. They know exactly what you're going to do every single time, and it never varies ever. That's insanity to me.
So, we end these last 2 games, and we'll just say we do what we said. We beat UTEP, we lose to North Texas. Is there a change coming?
There should be.
We hope there is a change coming. However, do you think probability, we'll just say percentage here. Jared, what is the percentage chance that Western makes the change?
I say 65%.
You say 65.
I
Matt,
still don't feel as confident
what's your
as I want
percentage?
I'll be honest. If I still stand by, if he makes the tournament, he keeps his job. If he doesn't, he won't. And so I'll say 100% that he's gone. I believe. I really believe that, and I've said it for a few weeks now. People I'm just forecasting stuff. You play it out and see. People are.
He's a weatherman. He's a weatherman. Don't be mad at him.
I've had articles like the Sanford article that I wrote that's like, if he loses this game, feel this way, and if he loses that game, feel that way. And to the T, that's what people did because it's predictable. If you lose, it's a disaster. If you win, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we've been losing, and if you lose in these big moments, people are going to lose their minds. There's going to be tons of uproar, and everybody's going to be upset. And I believe that Todd has shown a history of already being ahead of things and already making moves behind the scenes in case something comes up. And I think he knows that it's got to be time after this year, buyout or whatever. I've thought since mid-January that ultimately it's going to have to be he gets it done or he's gone. I really think that's 100%
Everybody always
if he doesn't win.
Everybody says that Todd has a coach in his back pocket ready to go when something like that happens. I think we'll see as far as if he's going to make the call. If I think Matt's 100%. If you don't make the tournament, he's gone.
At least
if you don't make Conference USA, you're gone. You're gone.
And see, here's the thing: is that even if for some reason we lose out and Todd doesn't do anything, like there will be absolutely zero interest in our basketball season next year.
And it's
at
going
this
to come
point.
back on him.
Yeah, and I don't want to
That's what
see
I
our
think.
athletic department take a big hit financially because of stubbornness or something else. I mean, it sucks to always, because I mean, I've met Rick Stansbury a couple of times. I mean, I love the guy. He's one of the nicest people you could ever talk to. Very relatable, a very easygoing guy. I mean, awesome guy to talk to. But I mean, he just hasn't got it done like with his career. And I mean, like if you do a bad job. Like if I'm handing out the wrong drink at Starbucks every single day and all of them have to be remade, I mean, I'm going to get in trouble for that at some point or lose my job. I mean, that's how work is. If you aren't
You
performing,
definitely would not be a master coffee guy. That's all I'm
Jared,
saying.
Yeah,
did you ever
I mean-
wrap the drive-through around the store?
I mean, yeah. But sometimes people are insane. Like if you have 80 people show up at the same time, there's nothing you can do about that. But
That's valid.
I'm-
I did
but-
that at McDonald's when we weren't busy. I was doing the drinks and I got overwhelmed. And they were like, all right, you going back to toasting buns, buddy. Get back there.
yeah.
So Abby's telling me it's time. So anyway, okay. 1 second. Hey. Come here. You stop me. Okay. So real quick, we got a couple questions in the mailbag. We'll go. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hey, Abby.
Okay, so here's our question. Okay, so John wants to know, what are the biggest issues within the program at the current time?
Daddy.
With basketball?
Yes, we'll do basketball. I'll mute my mic. Go ahead.
I mean, it still has to come down to coaching. I mean, the chemistry of this team is still pretty bad. I mean, I feel like the demeanor of this team, they just play defeated a lot of the times. Like, I mean, we might get a big lead every now and then end up squandering it away. I mean, that's been pretty typical with almost every team under Stansbury at this point. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's definitely part of it. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the biggest problem that I have with Stansbury is just not winning in the most important time of the year. Like,
Yeah.
and having a tangible reason why we didn't. Like, it's one thing if, you go in and you play a Marshall team that's got 5 future pros and you hang in there and everybody scores 100 and they win on a buzzer beater. Instead, we get handed a tournament run and then we make it against Marshall, I think they were a 4 seed or whatever, and we were a 2 or 3 or whatever. And we had beaten them twice, and we were a good matchup against them. And we just crank threes and try to play Marshall ball instead of pounding the rock. In the biggest moment, this is your chance. You're handed a championship. They played like crap, and we still almost won. And needed a 11-0 run. Other than
my not to cut you off, but my assessment has always been that once we do good normally in season, we'll have, we've got our key players that we've got. Stans plays his 5. You have one person who gets 1 to 2 minutes a game other than the 5. Then you get into Conference USA tournament and like 4 games in a row, not obviously in a row, but 4 games in a row, bam, bam, bam. We get into the conference championship game and we lay a goose egg. The 5 are wore out. They're
completely inept by the time we get to any conference championship game.
Yes.
And just like the one against North Texas, they still roast us about that on Twitter every now and then. Like just a couple weeks ago, like I got that quote tweet from NTSN or whatever, one of the North Texas pages, like quote tweeting the tweet that I had, like frantically Googles if a Conference USA basketball team has been shut out before. Because that's literally how we started the game. We started in like a 17-0 hole or something ridiculous like that. And I'm just like, how does a team that's done as good as us all season look this completely inept in a championship game when it matters the most?
And didn't call a timeout until the 17 points, and then had a chance to win and calls a stupid play instead of, I think I think everybody was upset because we didn't go to Bassey. Like, Bassey
Yeah.
is your guy. Give him the ball. I think it was a tie game, whatever. And you don't give him the ball. You run some like pick and roll crap, and you don't give it to one of the two guys that probably should have the ball. And then you end up losing in overtime.
But I mean, and then
it's
the
just
other
so
part of
frustrating.
this is you play your five, which one year to the next is not the greatest idea. You know, you're talking about building a program and, you know, wanting to be here for long term. You've got to get these guys in the game. You know, I get you. You're like, okay, this is a close game. We can't pull them. When you beat, okay, here we go. When you beat a team 127-61, tell me why the hell you can't put other guys in. Now, I don't know. I haven't checked. I haven't looked back at that stats. That was at the beginning of the year against Kentucky State. But like, how do you not put other guys in when you have a sizable lead and the guys aren't dropping threes? You know, I don't see why you can't put. You know, a couple years back, you couldn't have put a Cozart or somebody in and let them get minutes and get experience in game time situations. Like, you're supposed to be building towards the future. If you're not building towards the future, hey, wait a second. We had a bunch of guys transfer every offseason right after the season would end. Wonder why that was.
Yeah, I mean,
what's going on there?
Yeah, I think your roster management and in-game management is your biggest issue. Like, I think he's actually fine at coaching fundamentals and stuff. Like, we're not terrible fundamentally. It's
we can dribble.
It's applying in-game situations and figuring out how to manage things through the game that's been the problem. And you talked about the roster management stuff and not playing players. I think the most egregious nightmare that was just inexplicable to me was Tolu Smith. I mean, there were people on Facebook arguing that he wasn't that good and that he fouled and all that crap and whatever. The guy averaged like 55% shooting. He had some post moves. He could certainly spell Bassey. And by the way, Bassey at the end of the year was having injury tendencies. He didn't quite really injure himself, but he was showing signs of weakness. Tolu loses his minutes late in the year and hardly plays. He did play every game, but late in the year, there was a noticeable drop-off in his minutes, and the guy transfers and then basically was the best player on Mississippi State the last 3 or 4 years.
And another example, too, is Delano Banton. He was someone that was completely underutilized and went to the NBA.
Yeah. And okay, he's an awkward 6'8" freshman point guard. You're telling me that you can't find a way to have him on the court with another point guard, to have him spell the other point guard every once in a while so that guy doesn't have to take the ball up all the time? I mean, you can't post up the 6'8" guy and let him go on the small guard. There's ways that you could have used him. He was pretty good at getting to the hole. And he's 6'8". Like, you could have used him a lot more, but he got abandoned because, you know, he couldn't take care of the ball. And he's a 1, so he can't play the 2. He's a 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I have another question, and I'm going to make this a two-parter because in the next couple weeks, we're going to find out how this is going to affect us, okay? So, Kent, excuse me, let me double-check. Yes, Kent wants to know about our 23-24 basketball recruits. Now, this is my issue when we think about recruiting. If we go through a regime change, that's going to really affect our recruiting.
Well, yeah.
We've got guys who are committed to Stansbury. We've got guys on the current roster that are committed to Stansbury, and we may lose them. I mean, that's a definite possibility with some of these guys. You know, NIL be damned. The roster could shift, and we could be legitimately looking at a rebuilding season. This coming year.
Look at Middle.
Look
at Middle when Kermit left. They absolutely had everyone leave. I think they had one person stay or something like that, and they were awful for a couple years because they were trying to dig out of a deep hole. I mean, that's probably what would happen here. Is we'd probably lose everybody.
I mean,
Okay.
I'd rather take that risk and try to see and turn things around. I mean, that's one thing that will suffer if we lose Stansberry is the recruiting. But I mean, we're mediocre with him being our coach. Like he's getting the good players, but we don't know how to use them. So what's the point of even recruiting them here to begin with if they don't even know how to win? So I'd rather us just go back to how it used to be and us getting some good, maybe 2 or 3 star guys that want to put in the effort to become a good player and try to do it that way, just like TJ Price and players like him are perfect examples. I mean, he's not like a 4 or 5 star recruit, but I mean, he's a Hilltopper legend as far as I'm concerned. I mean, those teams that he was on, I'll always remember them. So, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with suffering a little bit for recruiting if it means that eventually we end up getting back to where we used to be, and that's actually winning.
Yeah. Now, ideally, what I would like to see now it would be very difficult for Western fans, I think, in general, but ideally, I would like to see somebody who is. I'm going to make him a verb. He's going to be Helton-esque
Mm-hmm.
because I would like to see somebody who could use the portal like Helton does.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who goes in and can pull out a couple players from Northeast Central State Louisiana community college or whatever, and this kid can dunk like nobody's business or whatever, shoot free throws all day. But I would like to see somebody that he could pull out like that. I would like to see a coach that could do that for Western. Now, my downside for that would be that they're going to go on to the bigger school the next year. That would be the downside. But if he is Helton-esque, he could reach back into the portal, pull out a couple more good guys, and that's fine with me. But we'll just have to see how the next couple weeks play out if Todd decides to move on, because opinions on our show are better than facts. But anyway, facts are optional on the show, so we'll just have to see and have to play it out. Definitely check out Matt's article on the Towel Rack. You will not regret it. It's a really good article. It does point out a lot of things. And then, he'll have another article about being a pervert at basketball games. But other than that, we'll be good. But seriously, check back. Let's see. Okay, so upcoming events here. We've got softball is going to be playing sometime. Check the show notes here if you're on YouTube. And men's basketball will be playing on the 2nd. We're going to be playing UTEP, 9 p.m. Eastern. And they will be playing on the 4th. They'll be playing North Texas at 3 p.m. Eastern as well. And then Lady Tops will be playing on the 2nd against UTEP at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's in Diddle. Support the Lady Tops. They are playing for second place, just like Matt said.
And
they could definitely need to pack the house. And that's 6:30 Central, yes.
Yep.
So definitely pack the house. That is
The couch.
God. Yeah, go to the house. Sit in the dark by yourselves. Pack Diddle. Support the Lady Tops. I mean, just go crazy for them. They're going to be in second place. One of our basketball teams is doing amazing, and the other one's not right now, but they will be in the future. And then, of course, they will be playing North Texas on the 4th, mirroring the men's side of things. But it will be at Diddle, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, and that's obviously Saturday. Definitely support them, both games. Saturday afternoon, you don't have anything better to do? Go to a Lady Tops game. Thursday night game, go celebrate. Go take your kids, take your young daughter, take your kid, take your boy, whoever. Support the Lady Tops. Go crazy, act goofy. Take your shirt, man. Just stuff
My
like that.
wife won't let me anymore.
You need to get like the shirt that's like a bare-chested shirt, so that you could wear that to the game, and you'd be like, "Boom! I found a loophole."
One of Stephanie's friends had a swimsuit that was like a bear. It was like a hairy-chested man, but it was
That is
it was
hilarious.
a swimsuit. It was awful.
Oh my gosh!
Oh man.
Check back here next week. We'll be talking Western basketball. We'll be summarizing Western's
Tournament preview next week, right? I mean,
yeah.
It'll be like conference tournament time.
Man.
Yeah, conference
that is if we're
tournament
not
time.
eliminated by this time next week.
Yeah, hey,
It could be.
check back. We'll be doing mailbag again, seeing what you all think. I'll try and get that posted maybe Sunday or Monday, so we got a little more time for you all to answer things or to post questions and comments. And yeah, we'll holler at you next week, guys. Appreciate you. If you've listened thus far, like, share, and subscribe. If you need help, betterhelp.com/readout is our affiliate link. It helps us out, and it also helps you out with 10% off. But as always, guys, go Tops.
Go Tops.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you guys.
No problem, buddy.